right. I'm gonna move on from this idea. It's 7. Do you have a place to be?
I can hang around for a few minutes.
Cool. I mean, I just thought it would be cool. It's like, so it's not just one idea that we've been tossing around, and we started like 15 minutes late anyways.
Yeah.
So, all right. So for then the next 10 minutes, I'm not going to try and take too much of your time. I'm gonna move on to a separate one. Let's just do the next one. This one actually is kind of complicated, but the way I'm going to explain this. So this pod involves standing in a pool. I call it pool party. So you can hear some kind of thudding happening, but your head is this is largely based on movement of the head. I thought is like head as a controller. I thought was a really cool idea to play with, because in 360 you can't move your head, but what if your head movement was actually a key part of the changing of the music? So you're standing in a pool, right, and water comes up to maybe like here or whatever. It depends, maybe down to here, and it's like a nice sunny day outside, and you hear like thudding, like it's like music, like oops, oops, oops. And this, I'm coming at it from an EDM side, but as soon as you dip your head under the water, the environment is totally different. It's not a sunny day out. It's actually like night, and there's like lasers going underneath, and that's where your first set of tools appear. And you can, it's like, a filter comes up, and so you can hear like the full kind of thing happening, and you are given controls, and you start messing around with them, and you notice that nothing happens. And then you move your head up to the top of the pool again, and it's a bright day out, but suddenly the environment has changed. So this kind of thing would only start once you go down, you have to mess around with the levers and controls a bit first, and then the music really starts like developing. And so the way I was kind of thinking is the controls that you do under the water affect the music that plays back when you're on top of the water. When you're on top of the water, you get a different set of controls, but you only hear that music when you dip your head back down for like longer than 2 seconds, right? I don't want it to erase all the work you've done with all your playing around with the controls or whatever. So if you like stay there for 2 seconds and it plays back the cool shit that you've been doing, and I thought that would be an interesting way to explore, like, you're messing around with sound, but you don't necessarily know what it's going to do until you come back up. And then you begin to make more informed decisions about what exactly it is you want to hear when you go back down, and then up again, and then down again, and up again. And you can like build the way I was thinking this would be placed was this would be kind of an interesting, drop. I mean, and a lot of these ideas you could try and expand on, like as a part of a full music idea, like we did with the box, for instance. I was like, maybe this is an intro, but then we expanded it thematically to be like an entire song. But this pool party idea, you could try and do the same thing. I was imagining it, of course, as just like, this is like the intense part, where it's like, you had this entire build-up, and then slash, you're in a pool, and you hear it's like a suspension. And then you begin to build it. I don't exactly know if that would be successful, but you could definitely, like, when you move your head, like, you have, like, the water coming off your ears, and, like, woo! And, like, so you'd have, like, some kind of transitional element every time you go between below and above water. And I think it would be really interesting just to have a dichotomy of, like, not necessarily the type of music, but maybe, like, the actual musical elements that are playing and that you have control over above water, where it's super sunny, and, like, there's maybe every time you do something cool, more people show up, and they're kind of around you swimming in the pool.
You could do it as in, like, because the thing that I immediately thought of was, like, electro swing. You could have you could have the electro, and then you could have the swing.
Oh, and then you put it together.
Like, at some point,
it
has to
sync. Yeah.
At some point, it switches from between the border of the pool, but instead it's this way.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's vertically, and you can choose to be in both sections, and you hear the panning from either side. That would be cool.
That would be really
well,
cool.
I mean, and it wouldn't actually be like the audio implementation doesn't have to be like that. It could be just when you're in the center and you're moving around in this zone and you don't move too much, you hear both sides on either side, and so you can hear like kind of like more electronic stuff. That's
really cool.
That's a good idea.
I
And you thought you were going to be the
Well,
lay
because-
person here. You're the one who came up with the most ideas out of all of us.
Because I don't know, I thought it would be really interesting to have like that aspect of, well, you're taking two things, because electro swing in and of itself is taking two things that really shouldn't be together at all.
It sounds
no,
great.
hold on. But it sounds so good.
Great.
Like in like if you talk to some of you, you're just like, yeah, electronic music and also swing, like from the 20s.
Right.
You're like,
And then they're like, but then you hear it and you're like,
oh, right. And so there are two things that sound like they really would not fit at all. And so I think that you can take that idea, the dichotomy of different genres of music. Like there's a whole movement of like the piano guys doing pop songs mashed up with classics, like
yeah.
Michael Jackson meets Mozart, like that type of stuff. And there are two things that you'd be
And
like,
you know
well,
what'd be
they're
cool is
completely
if the
separate,
actual
but you
divide
can
in the music happens that way, but the environment still changes based on the pool, right? So as you have like these quadrants, I don't know. And I don't know, that could be just like I mean, you could still have like controls like underneath and like above, but the actual genre divide change. So it's not necessarily the interactivity that changes, but the genre divide that changes to be above ground. You have like this split. In just visually the split, and genre-wise the panning is the split, but you still have the controls below and above, so you still have the chance to... So, for instance, the people who are above the pool jump into the pool, but only on one side when you duck your head underneath. And, like, the other things that were in the pool, like, it's still, like, visually still a divide down the middle, but you start to see elements of below the pool and above the pool intermix with each other based on this visual divide. That would be cool.
Yeah, I love that.
I do not understand that, but that's okay. I will keep working through it in my brain.
And then for the tools, maybe for the underground, it could be like sea creatures or like deep sea things. And
Ooh, so it doesn't have to be an actual pool.
yeah,
It could
do,
be
like,
the
the
ocean.
Well, I mean, for sake of containment, like yes, a pool, but also
Well, because, I mean, in the way, again, like I was saying, a lot of this, you're not going to be moving anyways. Right? You know, you're not going to be moving, you're not going to be exploring the ocean. I feel like all the things you can do are going to be around you. You're not going to be, like, swimming through the ocean trying to find interactive music.
But I totally feel like people would try to do that.
People would want to, but if you make it clear to them that they can't and just put a bunch of stuff around them,
tide pool, like
a tide
Right,
pool,
like
for
coral,
example,
yeah.
that you could, I mean, you'd have to make it, like, small enough, right?
Yeah,
Or
like
you'd have to play around with scale. Hold on, I'm going to write this down. Perhaps you aren't in a pool when you duck down.
'Cause
You're
it's, like,
in
still
the
a pool
motherfucking
party.
ocean.
that's like more people come to the beach and then they
Yeah.
music, you attract them more, so your music gets more complex.
Maybe depending on how long you stay underneath the water and mess around with things, the more complicated the stuff you do, the more people are up on the
Yeah.
top listening to your DJing. Oh, it
Like
shut
a
down.
river, yes.
It died.
Of course
All right.
Ocean
that's
DJ.
okay. Yeah, ocean. All right. But all right. So I think that's probably as. I mean, if you guys want to keep talking, I'm just not going to be taking notes. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you would. So yeah, so you could, but like, so like, because yeah, I actually haven't put a lot of thought into like what exactly the controls would be underneath or on top of the water. Like one thing I was imagining is like, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a pool basketball that you could try and throw a thing into, and when it goes in, then all hell goes loose. You get like
See
access to
everything.
all these tools on the bottom. Everyone is celebrating in the sea, you know. This like really feels like, yeah, I made that basketball shot. Let's go. You know, or some kind of similarly related trick shots that just massively, like, you know. It would be interesting actually to see if you could somehow show them the interactions they did, like, play it back on a TV screen that makes sense. For instance, maybe there's this big jumbotron that shows the movements you did, so you can more directly see how it affected.
Sort of like a playback.
Yeah, sort of like a playback, but it's like it makes sense in the environment. And then when you're under the sea, I don't know, somehow you could see the things you were doing up on top. I don't know how you would do that.
Well, no, I just feel like that would be a very complex idea.
It's true.
Like for a player to hold in their head.
Well, no, what would be complex is if they have to memorize exactly what they did and then hear that in an abstract way played back. I feel if there was a way to show them the things that they did while on top, and so they can see and hear that playing back in the music, I don't know how you would do. I mean, I like the jumbotron. It doesn't necessarily have to be a direct jumbotron. Maybe they see themselves like underneath the sea. Maybe they see somebody else like in a mirror or something, repeating their motions on their own table set or something. I don't know. Like what kind of things would you put in the sea?
I think
Garbage.
Garbage?
It's a man made out of garbage. It's a DJ battle with a man made out of garbage on the other side. All the fish are cheering for different things. So it's like a it's a conservation thing. We can make it political, damn it.
We can get funding from conservation.
Yeah, exactly. Man, you don't want this trash fish to win this DJ battle. Come play our music. DJ Trash Fish! Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Alright, so, honestly, okay, so I think it's time to wrap this up a bit. Thank you guys, if you are watching, for making it through this. But, I don't know, we're having a lot of fun. Come to the next one. I'm pretty sure we're going to continue doing this Thursdays from 6 to 7.
Perfect.
I like this discussion idea. It's fun. It works. I think this is definitely the basis for something that could go on in the future. Thank you, by the way, for coming. I'm going to go turn this off.
You're welcome.